I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and I'm here with the latest version of Taylor's 818E. The 818E is part of the latest revision of Taylor's Grand Orchestra size models. We've recently had a chance to check out the 618E, which is basically the maple back and side version of this guitar. You can go back and check out that demo if you'd like. And I'm very pleased to now have a chance to check out this rosewood version of the Grand Orchestra. The Grand Orchestra is an interesting guitar for Taylor in that it was the first guitar that was designed from the ground up by Andy Powers when he came on board several years ago. It was the first guitar that he didn't just modify, but that he really designed from scratch. And it ended up replacing the earlier Taylor Jumbo that had been in the line for a long time. And it really is a large guitar. It's got a width of 16 3/4 inches at the lower bout, also quite deep. And so it really is a guitar for people who like powerful instruments, who like a lot of bottom end, who might be heavy strummers. But as you heard when I was playing it fingerstyle, it can also be a great choice for fingerstyle players who are looking for a more powerful guitar than what you would think of with more of a mid-size or smaller kind of fingerstyle typical instrument. Now, as was the case with the 618E that I checked out a little bit ago, this guitar also received the V-Class bracing, and those two are the first Grand Orchestra size guitars to have received that, and I think that's going to move into the rest of the Taylor line. So it really makes them the final body styles to receive the V-Class bracing, and I think it works really well on these jumbo guitars. In this case, the guitar is an 800 series instrument, which typically means it's got Indian rosewood back and sides, and a beautiful Indian rosewood on this, very dark, very evenly grained. It's got a Sitka spruce top, and you can tell it's got a little bit of shading on there, not quite a full sunburst, but just enough to kind of make it a little bit darker around the edges. I think it's a really nice look. Looks really great with the maple binding that the guitar has, and the multi-ring kind of multicolored purfling on here. The guitar does differ from your typical 800 series appointments in that it has the same block inlay, which Taylor calls the Mission fingerboard inlay, that we also found on the 618, and it doesn't have the light-colored binding that has been part of 800 series guitars for a long time, either with white plastic or with maple over the years. That's varied a bit. So it's got a little bit of a different appearance than what we're used to from 800 series guitars. I think these block inlays look really nice, and they kind of pay tribute to some sort of classic vintage jumbos of the past that have had similar, though of course not exactly the same design in the fingerboard. You'll also notice that just as we saw on the 618, Taylor chose some ebony with some beautiful coloring and streaking on this guitar, and I think it also contributes to the overall appearance of this guitar. Now, some other details on the guitar include some it's almost like purfling around the peghead of the guitar. The inlay also continues into the peghead of the guitar. The guitar has Taylor's nickel tuners, the Taylor branded enclosed tuners. These have been used on most Taylor guitars for quite a while now, and they work very well. It also has the wooden pickguard that has been part of I think most 800 series guitars now, and that is also a very cool look. It really matches the back and sides of a rosewood guitar quite nicely. And of course, the guitar features Taylor's ES2 Electronics, which have the pickups mounted behind the saddle, 3 piezo elements, and it's mounted behind rather than underneath the saddle, and there are controls in the preamp that's mounted right here in the side of the upper bout for volume, bass, and treble. Now you see a lot of people using larger guitars for strumming, for accompanying vocals, or just to provide kind of a big rhythm guitar sound in any kind of context. And this guitar really does work very well for that. The rosewood gives you a nice bottom end and punch, and it's really voiced in such a way that it creates a very big and yet balanced sound, especially if we're playing like big chords in the first position. really fun to play like that, play big chords. It's very loud, and definitely didn't feel like I was maximizing the headroom playing it this way either. You could definitely be heard with this in a ensemble context, or if you're playing unamplified, or if you have a loud singing voice as well. That's another reason why a lot of people like to play these big jumbo guitars. But as I explored kind of in the intro to this video, I'm finding that with these new V-Class redesigns, these Grand Orchestras also work very well for playing fingerstyle. I think perhaps better than the original design with the X-bracing did. There's something about the dynamic range that I think kind of shifted to really expand that a little bit, and has really been refined in the way that these guitars sound. So really a very cool sound for anybody looking for a powerful big guitar, whether you strum with a pick or you're playing fingerstyle. Now, of course, the ES2 Electronics really expand the way you can use this guitar. It's a very hassle-free system to plug in on stage or in any kind of plugged-in environment, whether you're recording at home or just need to be a little bit louder, even jamming with people. So I'm going to show you what that sounds like as I go out. I'm plugging into a Fishman Loudbox Mini Charge amplifier here, and just give you a sense of what the ES2 Electronics sound like. That's Taylor's 818E, really a very cool new version of this Grand Orchestra style guitar. I definitely recommend you check it out at your Taylor dealer, especially if you have been looking for a big, powerful guitar that's just a ton of fun to play in environments where you just need a little bit extra volume. My name is Teja Gerken. Please come back here for more of our gear demos on Peghead Nation, and I'll see you next time.